All right, it's Kevin.
This is Atusa.
Today we're going to go check out the powerhouse brands that are just right down the street from us.
And that consists of Vance Hines, Performance Machine, Progressive Suspension, and Burly. Let's go check them out.
Right on.
Let's go.
Got my coffee, you got yours?
Got my energy drink.
Here we go.
Okay, so Powerhouse Brands is literally down the street from Lifestyle Cycles, some of our closest friends. But before we get there, Kevin, I got a question for you. You're pretty ancient. You've been riding Harleys forever. What do you feel about these brands? Have you ever had them on your bike? What do you know about them?
Absolutely. I mean, they've all four brands have always been quality equipment, made in America. I've had the Vance Hines exhaust. I've had the Performance Machine between brakes and wheels, air cleaners. I currently have the Burly Brand brawler kit on my Road Glide. Progressive suspension. I've certainly had their rear shocks on my bikes. I've never actually had the front cartridges and stuff like that. But everything that they put out is great. The customer support is great. You can buy their products and they'll last forever on your bike. You won't have any problems with them.
So for someone who's like dabbled in their products and has literally had it on your personal bikes, and I know you've installed them on other people's bikes, what are you most excited about to see at their warehouse right now?
For me, I always like the way to check out how things are built. That old TV show that, how it's made. I used to sit there and watch that show all the time just because I like watching the different technological advantages with different machinery and how they've brought computers into everything these days. And, that way the product is consistent and perfect. Back in the old days, everything was handmade and, a lot of times you had to do some custom fitment to see how well it was going to work. A little wet out today. No, I just like the consistency of where technology has gone with all the motorcycle parts, and these four companies are at the forefront of that technology.
Well, I will say, I know that it's not a very common thing for things to be made up, ground up in America. I like that they're like strictly made in USA. Everything they do starts from the ground up in their own shop. I'm excited to see that. Just like you said, the machinery and stuff, like it's not a common thing anymore for a lot of these brands we own. They're coming from different countries.
Yeah, and when you're getting it from other countries, sometimes the quality is still good because the manufacturer keeps a real tight rein on R&D and quality control, and sometimes not. We learn pretty quick which companies those are, and we're certainly never going to carry them because the last thing I want to do is handle returns. I'm going to have to be on the phone explaining to somebody you're going to take a crowbar to make this crash bar fit on your bike, and that's never good. There's never a good company image that's the products we're selling.
Right, no, that makes sense. So a little birdie told me that they kind of have a dyno machine in their shop. Do you think we're going to be able to see it?
If not, I'm going home.
Oh, if not, I was going to say I'm just going to sneak in and see it for myself. You can go home. I'll Uber home. I'm going to see it regardless if they give us a tour or not. All right, we finally made it. Let's go inside. Come with me.
Get the door for me.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we made it down here to Powerhouse Brands.
And we got Ryan here, and he's going to give us a little rundown. Ryan, what are we going to be seeing today?
So you're going to be seeing a little bit of everything. So we have obviously four brands on the premise. So there's manufacturing for Vance Hines, Performance Machine, Progressive Suspension, Burly Brand. We have a lot of R&D stuff and then some new products we just came out with that we're going to be showing you guys.
So I got a question for you before we go in. Can I please sit on that?
You can absolutely sit on the race bike.
Oh yeah, don't let it fall.
Not my job.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, very aggressive riding position.
It's like Harley made into sport, made into Harley, made into what's going on here. This is sick. And you guys sell all the parts on this?
Yeah, all these parts are production parts that have come from each of the brands. So this is probably our biggest collaboration that we have to date.
That's sick.
Yeah, this bike actually ran the very first ever Moto America bagger race, so it's a historic piece.
Well, I can ride it for its second Moto America if you'd like. I can't guarantee I'll make it across the finish line, but I can try.
Yeah, we'll draw a contract up for you.
Well, thank you for letting me sit on that. It's super cool.
Absolutely.
Let's head on in.
All right, yeah, come on, let's go.
All right, so Ryan, where are we going now?
Okay, so first off, we're going to head into engineering and see where all the magic happens.
Nice.
Okay, so this is the main room for engineering. So engineers for Vance Hines performance machine, progressive suspension, Burly Brand for the mechanical as well as the electronic side. So this room over here houses the V&H electronics crew. So all the fuel pack magic and development happens and starts in there. This is our group of MEs. So we got Jeff. Jeff has been an engineer for Burly Performance Machine for a while. So he's kind of been the mastermind for a lot of these new products we're going to talk about later. We got Sean. Sean's a new engineer for the Vance Hines side. Got a lot of magic coming through his veins here, so it's going to be interesting to see.
So is this the department that engineered the new C4 air cleaner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeff was actually one of the main engineers along with June. They were really the brains behind the C4 series air cleaner.
Yeah, those things are great. I can't wait to get one on my bike.
Oh, it's unlike anything else you've ever seen. It's
completely
different.
We just did a video launch the other day because we got some of the first ones in.
Yeah, we collaborated with that.
Awesome.
It was really awesome to see you guys support that product.
Yeah, well, it's cool.
So tell me, for someone who doesn't know about it as much as he does, what makes it different?
So it's a reverse cone style filter. So most of them are just like a conical style filter where it's completely exposed. It's not concave like ours. Ours actually has a pocket in it. So that really stuffs air in. And because of that, we've actually run it on the dyno and found on the 117 2024s, you can get as much as 6.5 horsepower just from the air cleaner.
Wow.
You can do a lot with 6.5 horsepower, just saying.
Well, it's the difference between just a little burp with the front tire and actually standing it up.
Yeah. So with that, let's go down into R&D and see some of the actual real world application. So this is John Crunkle. John is actually the progressive suspension engineer, the mastermind behind a lot of the stuff like the new QPS system that we're going to be talking about later.
Yeah. Cool stuff.
Yeah, it is. Is it fun working here?
Yeah.
Yes. We've also got Randy Acevedo.
We just wear a lot of different hats here.
Yeah, we do.
I'm just recently been moved to engineering, so I've been helping out with engineering, new product stuff, and causing a lot of extra work for John that he doesn't really want. So
Building shocks.
yeah, we do a lot of stuff. On the progressive side, we've got a new segment where we're actually doing Jeep shocks too. It's a little bit out of our. It's not outside of what we do because we are a suspension company, but it's one of the things that we've been doing for the last 3 years, and it's done really well. It's doing well, and that's actually what we were just talking about right now. So we can start in here real quick. So typically motorcycles come here, and James Pence is the one that actually overlooks a lot of that stuff. So when the bikes come in, James already knows what he needs to do fitment-wise, and that's where the R&D team comes in, where James, June, or Jeffrey, I'm not sure if you guys met them or not. I'm not sure the new kid's name that's doing the Sean. So Sean, everybody grabs a bike. The good thing about our engineering department, in my opinion, is that everybody is an enthusiast. So they all ride, they're all into motorcycles. So it helps, even though one engineer's job is to work on certain parts of the bike and not the other, collectively they all kind of put their brains together and they make it work. And I think that's what makes our engineering department so strong versus other companies. I know a lot of people look like, well, you're all these brands in one, but believe it or not, it's helpful for the fact that when it comes to suspension, exhaust, aftermarket parts, wheels, brakes, different accessories, or even stuff like Burly makes with cable clips, it all works out really well. So speaking of James Pence, like I was saying earlier, this is James, just happened to be walking in here. So James does all the fitments for almost all of our products, but James has been here for how long now?
21 years in January.
So 21 years James has done and learned a lot with Vance Hines itself, and that's what his background basically is.
So James, why 21 years at Vance Hines? You must love this place to stick around this long.
The people, the industry, being at the top of the industry for so long, it's hard to go from the top and go to somebody below you.
I like that. I've been doing suspension for almost 30 years now, and this company came to me. I didn't come to it, and it's the same thing. Watching someone ride away on something that's a very unique system with our FST style, it almost gives me the chills just thinking about it. It makes my face feel red, to be honest. And I don't get weird on camera. I like working here. The people I work for, the people I work with, everybody works together. Nobody thinks that they're this over this. You can walk on the floor and people wave to you, and everybody works the same. This place works off of people like James, top of engineering, all the way to somebody that makes the product get out. We work as one around here, so the word team here really works.
You're a family dynamic.
Yeah, that's
That
great
goes
here.
very far.
Well, it certainly shows in the final product that goes out to the customers, of the passion that comes from the people that work here that really want to be the best at what they do every single day, and it really shows.
Yeah, I mean, you'll meet people that have been out there for 30 plus years, that have been working for these companies that long. They started here and they're retiring here. It's just, it means something to them. They have a lot of pride in what they make. They see things on the road, or they see bikes at these Bagger League races, or they just see things in general going down the road, and it's like they had something to do with that part being on that motorcycle, and it's very prideful, and it's cool to work for someone like that.
I bet that's an amazing feeling. Well, let's go see some more cool stuff.
Let's go see how it's done. Thanks, James.
Nice meeting you, James.
Let's stop you there real quick.
This is a Joey. It's not a person named Joey. This is actually what we call a Joey. So you get on the machine. In this case, you put this down, you put your wiring harness on. To activate this, turn the key on. There's a foot spot here. Morning, Jerry.
Boy, how you doing?
Good. So the Joey can turn on a dime, one way or the other. You can make tight turns.
Look at her.
Or if you need to get stuff, you just go up. And the Joeys go only so high because we have these big ass fans, which are literally called big ass fans. So yeah, the Joey just goes up.
I'll catch you if you fall.
No, you wouldn't. You would be bad. But it only goes up so high. And then what they can do is they can lean over, they can get the stuff they need, pick it, put it onto the Joey, and they can still move. When it's up high, it moves at a slower pace. So for manufacturing, a semi that will deliver steel for, as you can see, it just depends on what the material is. All the tubing comes in here, gets put in, there's a semi usually at that point. That hoist turns around, grabs it. The operator then starts using the hoist. Truck pulls out. When the truck pulls out, the material's here. Based on what they're gonna, what it matches down here, then they go ahead and put it in whatever aisle it needs to be in. And then, depending on what pipes or what internals or what external or sleeve or whatever kind of pipe we have to cut, whatever that is, the work order's made. After the work order's made, it comes down here, and then the pipes get picked. It goes onto this laser machine. It gets fed on the back, so it's fed on its own. It gets fed in, it gets clamped, and then it gets shot into the hole here, and then this machine laser cuts depending on what it is. So it could be an inch, it could be 3 inches, it could be a 10-inch pipe, just depending on the length of the pipe, and whatever it is, doesn't matter the thickness. So this laser will just cut it, drops it, the guy fills up the container, which there's nothing right now. Fulfills the work order and just keeps going, just depending on what pipe it is and how many pieces they need, depending on what they're making for the next couple of days. This part has to stay ahead of what's going on there because that's constantly running and this is constantly running. But if this falls behind, then they can't keep running with what they need to do on their end. So this needs to be always ahead of that because it's one of the first processes.
And who stays in control of making sure all that happens?
Of what? Of
Making sure that everything in this department is done before.
So we
department
have planners and floor managers. Each department has a head on it of who's in charge. So she's in charge of all laser departments. So everything from this yellow line down to the wall there, even press brake, she overlooks and sees and looks at all the work orders. And then there's a planning department plans on what we're going to build and when it needs to be done by. So she looks at all that and she makes all that happen. So based off of his work order, what he has to do, he'll put that in, it'll shoot in there, and then he'll start cutting. So at the end of the day, the person in charge of this department runs of what they're gonna run. Planning gives those plans to the department head, and then determines what we're gonna be running based off of what we're low on, what we're gonna be selling, what's already sold, and what needs to be built. So planning looks at all that, makes sure that we have everything, and then puts it in each department so that those particular pipes or brakes assemblies or discs or wheels or whatever it is, planning just doesn't do.
Okay, I'm ready. Show me some more cool stuff.
So I'm going to show you guys where they actually weld the cans together and how they keep the line so straight, and why. I'll show you a couple different things. We'll go to press brake, and then we'll look at one of the welders that actually, it's a laser welder. It's an arm welder. We'll take a look how they make the louvers for the exhaust themselves, and then we'll head on to the machine shop side. So you'll notice on the can that it has these tabs here. And the reason why that they laser cut these like this is so that when they line them up, it makes it exact. Otherwise, the can may offset itself into the where it's not flush. It may do this or this. So having it on both sides keeps it straight. As you can see what he's doing right now, he's lining that all up. So when it starts, don't look at the welding. That's going to be bad. So as he goes, now it's all lined up. According to those two pieces that I showed you, it's kind of like interlocking your fingers, makes everything straight on both ends. This thing welds it at one shot. Typically when you weld, it'll pull itself one side or the other, but because of those tabs, it keeps it a straight line. So as that's welding, he's reforming to make sure that it's 100% round the way it needs to be. What he does when he's done welding, you'll see that he's going to bring it here. If you want to put his fingernails in here, we can give you a quick trim. This cuts off. This piece removes the two tabs that held the piece so that it's welded straight. After that, it becomes a finished product. Just like this. And you can see the weld is just spot on. And each end is completely flush, based off of the tabs, the way that they laser weld them here.
Now, what pipe will this be?
Couldn't tell you, because there's so many different things. You try and keep it so that this makes different types of pipes, but this will get flared down. This could have a different bend in it. It'll get a smash here for the suspension on the swing arm for the shock. Like this will turn into a bunch of different things.
Gotcha.
This could actually be two exhausts for all I know at this point. It just depends on what they're doing. With that, we'll move on. A press brake machine, exactly what that sounds like. This thing, so this looks like it has two press brakes, which would be one flipped over and then two. As you can see, it starts its life as this and ends just like that.
This is going to be a muffler mount that bolts up in the frame.
Some sort of bracket that'll hold it on to the bike. Yeah, it's like, I want to say it'd probably go like that. It could go like this with the transmission and then down low. Just depends, but yeah. So that's what a press brake machine does. So moving on.
Well, I notice all the press brakes are set up with a computer attached, so that makes sure they're getting done exactly right at the exact angle.
The right amount of pressure each time. So it's equal pressure all the way, because it's usually a 12-ton press. Some of them are maybe 5-ton, but either way, and most of them usually activate off of a two-hand system, so you can't have your hand in there and hit it by accident. You usually have to use those type of machines with two hands. The press comes down, does the job, and let it go. The computer makes sure that the thing goes in all the way to zero. No matter how long you hold it down, it's always going to be that exact same bend, like you're saying. Right. So there's not, in the past, it used to be like, okay, 4 seconds to let it go. Like, I mean, they had to find ways to make it match. And it would go back in the press brake, and it would kind of straighten it back out, or if it was too much, they'd have to just kind of, fix it.
Right, that's one of the things I was talking to a Goose on the way out here, because I've been in the industry for so many years. Back in the day, you had to tell your customer because of your own quality control, not you in particular, but company, the quality control wasn't there. I've had the call on customer service of asking how to make something fit. It's like, oh yeah, you grab a pry bar, you make it line up, and those days are gone with you guys. With the engineering you've got.
It doesn't matter who you are, what company you are. At the end of the day, everybody's going to have some sort of problem. It's human nature. It may be made machines, but humans are putting this stuff together, right? So there is some problem sometimes. But at the end of the day, a lot of times we're at awe because we're like, how is that even possible? We know how things are built here. Plain and simple. I don't know if the laser's running right now. So going back to the can we just looked at, it goes in another machine that makes a dent for the, like I was saying, for the suspension or whatever may be in the way. This machine here, a welding robot. It goes in like this and then welds these things completely. You can see it makes absolutely complete, There is some stuff that we do by hand, we'll get to that, and it's physically done by hand. It'll look like one of the welding machines did it, but it's not. It's a person physically welding all the way around. It's pretty sick. So if you turn around and take a look, you'll see a cart with a bunch of little parts on it that are chopped up in different things. This is a bandsaw. What it does is, on the performance machine side, everything comes to us by our own extrusion. So performance machine makes calipers, wheels, all these different accessories. Everything we make is made off of extrusion. We've taken the time, instead of going from a straight block to try and figuring out that we want to do our own extrusion. So when I say extrusion, you can tell that that's a 6-piston caliper. That's gonna cut down so much of machine time. And we'll get to how that works over there, but this is everything that we do. So you can tell that this is another braking system. Depending on what these are all made specific on what we're looking for. You got 4-piston calipers up there, you got 4-piston calipers here, and this is a dual piston caliper system. You can just tell by the way it looks. Also another 6-piston. Just depends if they're front or rear. So what that looks like when it's all cut up, depending on the work order, this is what we come down to.
That's insane.
So we get them, I want to say, in 10-foot bars. So by having them in 10-foot bars, cutting them down to what we need, we have less material waste and a lot quicker turn time, machine time, when it comes to making the caliper. It's already got partially designed, but it goes into the block the way we want it into the on the CNC machine, and the cut time is super fast.
Well, I imagine it cuts a lot of the waste out of it as well.
100% good. And having your own extrusions is pretty badass.
Yeah.
So before we head into the machine shop side, we'll just show you some of the stuff that people do in shear. Shear is one of the busiest departments that we have. There's a lot that goes on in shear. As you can see, each one of these bends has something different. All the stuff is done here to tape it down, the cut, just depends on what the paperwork is requiring for us to do. Everything over there is part of shear. It just depends on what it is, but most of everything has to come through here on the Vance Hines side. So, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the louvers, but this makes the louvers pretty soft.
Whoa.
So you'll see it's going to start out as a hole. And it ends up, just so you know, she's been here for a really long time. She's in charge of this whole department.
That's my girl.
I work for her in the morning. She gives me jobs to do because they need help down here. So different departments have different people come down. I'm one of the ones that come from the R&D department or from engineering as well. So I'll do 2 or 3 hours in the mornings here from like 5 to 8 usually. And that's who I report to, and she is a badass. Straight up. It's pretty amazing. So from here we'll move on down. All those dies are based off of what the work order is, what job it is, cans, caps, even making some of the covers for the air intakes for Vance Hines. It's all done through these presses. She sets up every single machine herself, shows you how to work it, and she's off to another process. She's amazing. I like machining. I think the machines are just freaking amazing. Programmers, the guys that work it, all that stuff to me is just really, really super cool. So I really nerd out in here.
Yeah, the CNC
So I'll keep it short.
has been amazing for me.
This is Alfredo.
How's it going?
How long have you been with the company, Alfredo?
I've been working for 17 years now.
So Alfredo's
Production manager, basically in charge of the whole production floor.
Very cool.
Yeah,
That's a big responsibility.
it is a lot of responsibilities.
But you know your stuff.
But he
Oh,
can
yeah.
handle it for sure. Super. I mean, I've known him for a while now, and like I said, everybody's friendly. We're all easy to talk to. We're all, hey, what's up? How's it going? Like, how's your personal life? Everything just makes it easy to come to work.
Well, and that comes from the top, I'm sure, is to build a team, not just get individuals that may be great at their task and not be able to work well.
And you know what? Just like anywhere else, we have our rough days, but at the same time, we pull our heads together and figure it out. Because we want it to work.
It's just like a big family, you know. You have the ups and downs
Yeah.
every day.
Right on. All right, I'm going to take you through your area. So, like I was talking about the extrusions earlier, this is obviously a work order. So, in this case, however many of these they need, this job will run. All these things have different job numbers depending on what it was. That's why they cut it down to the length so that it'll fit inside the machine, and then they make their cut. There's nothing running on this. There's a lot of different things that run on this, but when we do it, so the part gets made, gets sent out to Anno, comes back. That's why it's super important to have the same people working the same machines that have been doing this for so long, because when it comes back, if you screw up while you're cutting it, that's it. That part is now ruined. So before we get in any more trouble, we're gonna put our glasses on. So anyway, that's just one of the many machines we have. Steven, my man. How are you, sir?
Really good.
This is Steven. Steven's in charge of the all CNC guys. What are you currently working on, Steven?
Calibers. 2400 calibers.
So going back to that block that I was showing you guys, this is the back side and the front side, and you can see the difference. So from here, if this was all black, these would go out to Anno, this will come back, and you would make one more final cut, because the PM logo needs to stand out. So with that, if something were to happen, you could really screw up a whole process of getting this down from the guy cutting it, the extrusion, getting it over to here, cutting it down to this piece. So that's why it's super important.
Turnaround time on getting that part made, front and back.
How long is this, Steven, to make?
This one 22 minutes.
22?
Cycle time.
Yep.
This one 25.
So Steven knows those are real numbers, just so you know. Everything is done based off of time sets here. We have to know what it takes to build it, time-wise, even from the guy cutting it, because we have to know what it actually costs for us to actually get it out to make it
You can't come up
for
with a
someone.
retail price unless you know your hard cost.
What are you making there, Steven? I know you got some exhaust caps there. So for the Vance Hines site,
The Vance
you'll see
Hines.
that we do everything.
Is this a 5-axis machine?
So there's an end cap for Vance Hines. If you're wondering how it's made right here.
So you can run a total of 24 pieces at a time?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, left and right.
Yep.
Right now we have on the left and then cut left. If we have a both left and right, we run together. We have two operations. Beginning, just cut flat only, flat right here, and send now for Anno, and send back. We do the cut the logo and the inside.
You've got a bunch of time just in engineering the tool as well, I see.
No!
The tool as well took some time to make.
Steven, how long have you been here? I forgot.
21 years.
Another one.
Some of these things are going to be hard to get into because the machines are running, and because we use fluid to keep the bit from killing itself and keeping things cool, it's hard to see what's inside of it. So just bear with me on some of the stuff. It's just hard to see what it is. This is actually running. You can see in there what it's running, but I really don't know what that part is, so I can't tell you what it's running. By the way, if you take your glasses off to look at that, it does not clear up.
So how many machines do you have running?
That's a Steven question. Typically, I would say 90% of our machines are running.
Well, how many machines total?
I think 38? Well, that's M38, that's mill 38 over there. I want to say we're still in the 38s to 40s.
Okay.
All the wheels are made here, Performance Machine, obviously. So this is one of our bigger machines. This thing's actually really big. At the other building, they had to go down almost 15 feet. They lay concrete down, they put a waffle pattern, it dries, blah, 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 blah. The reason why they do that is because if the machine shakes, it'll actually screw up a wheel. So it has to be on a solid foundation. So not just our wheels, other people's wheels we make too sometimes. As you can see, this is just another wheel. So moving on. So that same machine has two heads. While the person is working on that wheel and checking sure before he unbolts it to make sure that everything's good and it's all deburred right, another wheel is typically being cut on this side. Just like you saw with the brake calipers, they're also doing this and that. Some of these machines can hold, some of them hold over 80 to 100 different tools. So just depending, all these get grabbed in there, and on a big cycling speed, and the thing grabs and pulls it as it needs it. Everything we hit, we own our own extrusions. So it's pretty obvious to tell, like, hey, that's, like, so.
Randy,
Yes, sir.
let's talk about this table. I know what it is.
So it's a marble table.
What does it do?
You play marbles on it.
Oh, she will.
So what they're doing here is that everything that comes out, just because the machine's making it, it still needs to be checked. A tool, like a drill bit or even a fork head, anything that's cutting, at some point starts wearing down. They physically grab parts just randomly, and they'll put them on this table, and it has to match 100% with whatever this dial says. So as soon as it touches, it changes the number. I mean, it can measure the thickness of your hair. because of how flat what this is and how the dials work. So this thing literally, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah. So look at how thick the table is.
But yeah,
It'll have no flex to it whatsoever. This is a pure flat surface.
so if you were to go to move this or move it around when you set it, it doesn't matter if it's not level. This thing's measuring off of this. I don't know if you, so try and pick this up. It doesn't look like much. Come on, girl. Yeah. So this is also a flat surface, and this also needs not to move too, so that when you're dialing things in as you touch, you need to make sure. So it touches points to make sure exactly. These pieces here will calibrate different things to make sure that this is point on. So speaking of wheels, and speaking of extrusions, same thing. These are our blanks. They go to a chipper. The chipper determines what wheel we're going to build, takes out all the excess material, and will actually cut the groove on the thickness according to what's higher. If it's going to be a 21, these look like 21 blanks to me. Then they'll go out. After they get done, they look like this. And the grooves get cut to put the tire. And then it gets determined what they're going to run design-wise. This is what I was talking about. The wheel gets done, goes out to Anno, and now we have a black wheel, right? So for us to cut our design in here, it's a lot of work for it to go and be made a blank. Then it goes to the chipper, then it's got to be polished, then it's got to go to Anno. If something happens to us in that process, we've lost all that time on one wheel. That's why it's super important to have all these different measurements and checkpoints in place to make sure that when the wheel's cut, we don't lose a wheel. Does it happen? Absolutely. Does it happen often? Hell no. All right, where are we going next?
Raw components.
We're gonna go to raw components. So I've explained this room, and it's gonna sound weird like I'm a geek, but I don't really care. It's kind of like the movie Harry Potter, where they're in there and all these glass balls are everywhere, right?
I love Harry Potter.
Okay, so this room is kind of like that to me. This is every fixture that Vance Hines has ever made. So any exhaust, anything old, anything new, it doesn't matter how old it is, it's in here. If they call and they get enough work order for enough of something that's super old, they have it, they can make it. They can go back and fix it. They absolutely have it. This room to me is like, it's just a really big history thing. Starts way back with Terry Vance. So it's just a really cool room to me.
This is my new favorite room.
So I just wanted to say, like, this is the crystal ball room.
You don't need to go trying to pick everything up here.
Yeah, don't pick nothing up in here. With that, we'll move on. I did talk about welding earlier, and I said that we do have lasers and we do have arms. This room is hand weld. You see that some of the welds, people look and think that it's being done by a laser, and it's not. And here's a good example of that right here. So this is done by hand. This is not done by a robot.
This is amazing.
So all this weld and cut in is exactly what he's going to start doing by hand in there. Do we have robots? 100% we do. But there's some things that we prefer to be done by hand still. So this is done by hand.
No, that man is a robot.
They're badass. They really are.
That's a talented guy.
Real quick stop. Now we're out of here. We don't need to go through a lot of it, but you can see just like anything else, this is pretty much the Vance Hines side of things. You have pipe benders, you have laser, you have cutters, you have welders, you have bends that you make. So pretty much all the bends and different cuts and shapes. Those fixtures I talked about, these are the fixtures. These fixtures make this pipe look like this. So you can see how it gets itself around. It gets clamped in, so there's no mistake. Once the bends are done, the pipe is exactly how it needs to be. If you were to line these up on the ground, you would see that they are 100% the same. So that there's no confusion of, is it gonna fit or it didn't mount up right. When someone calls in and says they have that problem, like I said in the beginning, sometimes we're dumbfounded because we're like, that's just not possible. But it happens. We're just like anybody else.
Now, will they check only the first couple parts on the checking fixture once they run a program, or every single part?
No, they check all the parts on these.
Every single one. That's impressive.
So we'll move on. This is like finished good stuff, so little parts here and there to help complete things. This will help complete a lot of things. Sometimes like we build the calipers, whatever it is, so they'll pick and pull little parts just depending on it. Watch the pallet here. These are wheels that have work orders that are going to be done soon, eventually. This is our laser, so what we'll do here is where it says Vance Hines or says different things or performance machine or whatever, this laser's out. Plus we laser on different wheels, depending on what it is. We have 3 different shifts, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and a 7 a.m. So it just depends. Our shields and stuff, everything gets wrapped, obviously, because it's chrome. Exhaust, you can see right here. Like I said, if you were to lay things out, like that's almost a good representation of showing you, like, if you were to put something in perspective for yourself, everything's keep on key here. We just make sure that everything's put together. So assemble it, they bag it.
Look at that part over there that was rounded off on the end that had a slush cut. This is what it goes to.
There you go. Now you can see how.
Now we've gone through all the manufacturing processes, so let's now head over to our testing area. Awesome. All right, a wealth of knowledge. So let's go over, this has been the main building here, so now we're going to go over to our auxiliary building for testing, and we'll kind of walk you through some of the tests these products go through that's far and beyond any kind of real world scenario. We believe it's got to survive anything. Okay, so now we're in our testing facility for all the brands. This houses any kind of tests for quality assurance purposes that we perform. And a lot of them, again, are well and beyond any kind of real world scenario. So it really is a lot of fun to kind of watch some of this stuff. We don't have anything running right now except for the shaker table that we'll get into in a minute. But we do have a few of the wheel tests that I can kind of talk about. So the first one, if you come in this room here, this is a very large machine. So what kind of happens in here is a wheel will get locked on this jig with a tire on it. And then this drum spins the wheel up to a cruising speed of like 45, 55 miles an hour. And then we'll put, using this hydraulic ram, radial force on it. And it's 2.5 times over any max tire load. So that's almost 2,400 pounds of force.
So you're testing a tire as well as a wheel.
Pretty much, yeah. But it's designed to really put the wheel through the ringer. Yeah, it's got to go through 1 million revolutions of that wheel for it to pass the test. So any PM wheel that's in the market today.
That's for the structural integrity of the spokes, the hub,
exactly.
The hub assemblies, the bearings, everything you're going to be using.
Exactly, and that's just one of the tests. And that wheel's got to go through a series of 4 tests to essentially pass the design and make it into production.
So is this a purpose-built machine for you, or is this something you got from the automotive world?
This is a purpose-built machine. All the machines that we use to test, we purpose-built. This is one of 2 dynos that we have on site from Vance Hines. And like James said earlier, we've used it to develop fuel pack maps. We've used it to test horsepower gains for exhaust. And I think Atusa's going to cry because it's not running. But it's any development on any product for the B&H side has touched this dyno at some point.
So can you talk a little bit about the FP4 tuners?
It's the next iteration from our FP3 tuner. It's designed to be a flash stage 1 tuner. So basically anybody that's doing an exhaust system or an intake.
It is available on our website to non-California customers because we do have the Arizona-based Lifestyle Cycles megastore as well. So if there's somebody across the country that isn't California, they could still get the FP4 tuner from us.
Got it. Okay. So this is actually that houses the other PM wheel tests. So anything from the torsional test, which literally will lock the wheel down and try to spin it inside the hub, essentially trying to rip the center section out of the wheel. Again, that's over 1,100 pounds of force. So
is that mainly just to check the shear strength of the bolts that are holding the hub together more than anything else?
It does, but it's really more or less designed to test the mating between those bolts and the hub, the internal part of the wheel itself.
Okay, the structural integrity of the spokes and everything else.
Yeah, basically the hub connection to the spokes is what that's for. Then we also do a radial test, which doesn't look like much, but it actually moves the outer rim up and down, trying to test, again, the design strength for the spokes. So those are done, again, well and beyond not only DOT, but JASO, which is Japanese standards, or TÜV, which is European standards, which is, again, well beyond US standard.
You guys certainly have been doing your homework. I also see a handlebar testing mechanism right here.
Yeah. So again, like we are in the handlebar market for not only Performance Machine, but Burly Brand as well. So any bar that has come out of our facility has had to go through a series of tests as well. And speaking of like the shaker test, we actually have a part in here that's on the shaker right now. I don't know if you want me to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of loud. But we have this machine here set up to pretty much simulate the bike running. So we're testing for any kind of weak points in either the welds or maybe the bracket bends. So If it doesn't pass the test here, then obviously we go back and do a rework of the design. But again, all of our testing done in-house so we can make changes a lot quicker and get products to market a lot faster that way instead of having to send it out.
It's like you showed up right at the end of the test? Or is it just doing different revolutions?
It does different revolutions. It goes through a cycle
Got
and
it.
it changes the resonance. So it's not just one frequency, it's moving to different ones that the bike may go through throughout its life.
That looks like a fun button to click.
I'm going to go ahead and recommend you stay away from the red button.
Dang it! No dyno, no red buttons.
No
Come
red
on,
buttons.
Ryan.
This area pretty much houses every single motorcycle that we either use for testing for any of the brands, for shows. So like the semi trucks that we take out on the road, those bikes live in here, get prepped in that room over there with all the different products that we're trying to show off to customers.
I've noticed you have a huge fleet of bikes. Just
it's
testing R&D, taking to the shows, and that's got to be a nightmare keeping them all clean enough and everything, having the batteries charged up. I don't know about you,
dude.
but my shop has always been the quickest way to kill a battery is to roll the bike into the shop.
Yep,
And the battery's
exactly.
dead.
Yeah, at one point we had over 60 motorcycles in here, so there's quite a bit.
And that's a footprint just for storage within itself. That gets expensive just to store.
It's bad. Yeah, we recently just sold about 15 to 20 obsolete models that basically wasn't going to do us anymore for development.
Sure. All with 5 miles on them, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, all under 1,000 miles. Yeah. Okay, so now we've kind of gone through the manufacturing process, the testing process. Now we're going to get to see some finished parts, and we'll talk to some of the sales guys, Rob, Josh, and Dave, about the new products we got going on.
Cool, shiny stuff.
Okay, so now we're in the marketing studio. Like I said, we do a lot of our functions in here, and we've got the sales team that represents all the different brands.
How's it going? Robert Martinez, Vance Hines.
Dave Nissen, Progressive Suspension.
And Joshua Rollins with Burly Brand.
Okay, so Josh, you want to talk about some of the Burly products?
Yeah, sure. So first we'll start right here with the Brawler kit, which is featured here on the touring bike. So great product for us. It's been doing extremely well over the last couple of years here. So bringing some attention to it. And this is the touring version of it, available for your 14 and up touring, as well as your Sportster Dyna M8 Softail as well. So that's been a hot ticket for us, but we recently introduced the new MX Evolution floorboard. So this thing has got a very good outcome, some very good feedback at the last couple shows we attended. So we're super excited to go ahead and get this out. Very, very new. So again, just starting to ship these things, getting them off and getting them packaged now. So again, super excited. And lastly, we've got, thank you, Atusa, 2 more right here. So first off, we've got the new Titan handguards. Some very good feedback, something unique, something different. So again, everybody's looking for something new, something exciting. So here we go. We've got some new handguards for you guys. And then lastly, I'm gonna spin this around here now. The new gauge relocation kit, so the Speedo Reload Kit. And this is going to be available. It's pretty universal in a sense that it's gonna work with most T-bars, in a sense that if it's a 1 1/4 inch down stem, it'll work. But yeah, we're super excited about all this. And again, great price points with the Burly Brand. So be sure to check out Lifestyle Cycles to get all your new products. So I'm gonna hand it off over to Dave here now.
All right, how are you doing, everybody? So we have 2 new products that I wanted to showcase for you, and these are available at Lifestyle Cycle, of course. The new 494 series shock. This is a progressive rate spring, has 14 turns, not clicks, 14 turns of rebound adjustment, a great sport shock for the touring models, Dyna Sportsters. And then the other new product we have here, and this is going to revolutionize the touring world. This is our 944 with QPS. Now QPS stands for Quick Preload Adjustment System. This little knob here, it's an 8mm socket. With this mounted on your 444 or your 944 series shock, it allows you to adjust the preload quickly when you're going from a 1-up to 2-up to 2-up with luggage situation, and then back to 1-up riding situation. A lot of times people have their bags full of stuff, and to adjust the sag, you have to take the bag off, turn the collar, put the bag back on. And some people who have stereos, subwoofers, power amps in the bag, they're hardwired to their harness. They don't want to take them off. Well, this is a revolutionary product we just came out with. The QPS system allows you to take this 8mm socket, reach down between the seat and the saddlebag lid, turn that to the clockwise to add preload, counterclockwise to subtract the preload, and now you have your perfect sag setting for whether it's 1-up, 2-up, or 2-up with luggage. And this is going to save a lot of people a lot of headaches, especially the rider, because the passenger, always hitting them on the back going, hey, these bumps are killing me. But now you can set the sag perfect so that doesn't have to happen anymore. And we predict this is going to save a lot of marriages and a lot of murders. So come on down to Lifestyle Cycle and pick up your 944 with QPS.
Hey everyone, Rob with Vance Hines here. Definitely been on the throttle for 2025, and we wanted to start off with our air intakes. So I want to introduce the VO2 Falcon XL. It's a nice gloss forged carbon intake elbow. It allows the airflow to come through the tube and into the bike. And name of the game when it comes to intakes is more air, more power. So what better way than doing that by introducing our oversized filter to accommodate our Falcon XL. I think anyone with a CVOST that carries this type of trim throughout the entire bike will be nice touch for anyone to carry that forged carbon all the way through. This you could go ahead and pick up at Lifestyle Cycles. We have fitment for multi-fit, which includes Softail, Dyna, Big Twin baggers. We also have it for Sportsters. We carry it for fly-by-wire touring, and then your M8 applications, as well as I mentioned, the new 24 and up models. If something like this doesn't suit your riding style, maybe you have lowers, maybe you're taller stature, then next up would be our VO2 Onyx, which is a premium round intake, nice billet cover. And then Vance and Hines, we definitely pay attention to detail. We want to make sure that you guys are flexing out there when you're riding your bike. We have 12-point ARP bolts, nothing but the best when it comes to our intakes. High flow washable filter, which can be cleaned with the recharge kit. So any one of our options, whether it be a 90-degree intake or a round intake, you'll get the best in performance when it comes to Vance and Hines. Next up, we have our, what I believe is going to be a home run this year, is our Razorback 450s. This is a nice 4.5-inch muffler with a bold, aggressive sound, definitely stepping it up for your M8 touring bikes. What makes this very unique is the fact that the end cap is rotational. So you can go ahead, if you notice that it's machined right here on the top. Maybe you're not a slash up guy, maybe you want to do slash down. This gives you the option to do both with a quick twist. And these are available in both chrome and black right here. You can see anyone that has special, or anyone with the stretch bags, this will accommodate the bags nicely with a nice flow. But like I mentioned, if you want it stretched, slashed up or slashed down, you have the option. Something so small can make a big difference. So, and last up, we have our high output slip-on. It's one of our iconic looks. We're introducing it this year for the 2025 Indian Scout. So if you're familiar with the Scout in the past, it's been redesigned this year. So we're giving our flavor, our twist to give her a nice, bold, aggressive tone for your 2025 Indian Scout, all which can be purchased at Lifestyle Cycle. So come on down, go on their website. You can go ahead and get these parts. This comes available in both black and chrome.
Okay. So lastly, I'm going to talk about Performance Machine a little bit. So Performance Machine recently released some brand new calipers. The first up is our monoblock. So the monoblock is designed to be a direct bolt-on for axial mount applications. But as you notice, it is machined from a solid piece of metal. So what that does is increase rigidity, and that helps with braking power. So not only is it a single piece, it actually uses our arc style pistons, which looks like a king's crown cut into the piston, to help dissipate heat a lot better and increase cooling. So that's arc, advanced radiant cooling. 20% better braking performance over OEM calipers versus the Race Series monoblock caliper. And to take it a step further, we also released a radial mount Race Series caliper. So 108 millimeter spacing, so it will bolt to most US spec radial mount brackets. Again, toting 20% better braking performance over an OEM caliper. So another great option in terms of calipers from Performance Machine. Okay, the next thing up is we have a new introduction to our line for our rotors. So the new 24s came with a larger rotor compared to the old 300 millimeter. These stepped up to 320. So now, because we have released these 320 millimeter size, we are also able to release the 2024 wheel fitment. So 2024 wheels fit, and set that down. Another nice feature about these rotors, our race weights are full floating rotors, so you can actually hear some movement in that. So that allows for expansion thermally, so it's a lot less susceptible to warping. And because it moves, it's able to center better in the caliper for better pad contact. So a lot of benefits to be had with the race weight rotors from Performance Machine. And another option, we're just going down the line here. Again, we talked about the fat bar kit earlier in R&D, so we do have additional heights there. Just wanted to touch on the gauge relocation. So because we are offering a bar setup, we are also now offering gauge relocation options for the single round as well as the soft tail digital gauge. So if you go to a PM bar, we now have ability for gauge relocation, which is a huge benefit to these bars. And then finally, again, available at Lifestyle Cycles is the C4 series air cleaner. Completely new design, really the only of its kind in the market. A reverse cone style filter with carbon weave construction. And again, a fun fact on that is we did dyno it on a 117 2024 and got about 6.5 horse out of it. So really big benefits to be had from that, from just an air cleaner. And so with that, I think that covers all of the new products that all 4 of our brands have to offer.
All right, Ryan, thank you so much for the tour of the facilities today, and then all of you guys coming down and going over all the great products for here at the Powerhouse Brands. Everything that you saw here today is available at Lifestyle Cycles, and we even got a little kicker on the end of it.
And free shipping straight to your door, and anything over $50, you get 5% back in Megabucks for future purchases.